Canada, our home and native land. True patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. Oh, far and wide, oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? It's an important one. It's the Israeli one, right? They're all important. Kol od b'leva pnima, nefesh Yehudi homiya, ulefatei mizrach kadima, ayin letzion tzofia. Od lo avda tikvatenu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, להיות עם חופשי לארצנו, ארץ ציון בירושלים. להיות עם חופשי לארצנו, ארץ ציון בירושלים.
Vice Chair of JCC Association Board of Directors, welcome Lisie.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Lisie Gottdenker, and I'm honored to be serving as the chair of JSummit. On behalf of the entire board and staff of the JCC Association of North America, welcome to JSummit 2024. I am so excited that we have actually arrived at this moment. It is our first time gathering like this since we were together in Memphis in 2018. To share a bit of backstory, I was asked to be the chair of the 2020 JSummit in 2019. And with cancellations due to the pandemic in 2020 and 2022, I've had this role for 6 years. I guess the third time is the charm. We are thrilled that you chose to spend the next 3 days with us, gathering as a movement to celebrate and honor the work you do at your JCCs and camps to elect new leadership and to connect, grow, and learn together. Let's see who's in the room. We have delegates from over 85 Jewish community centers and Jewish community camps from 34 states and provinces across the US and Canada, and over 60% of you are attending your first movement-wide conference with us. Of those, there are 73 JCC board presidents joining us, 54 are current, and 19 are incoming. And we welcome back 29 past board chairs, alongside our cohort from the JCC Association Board, which is 61 people strong. We are pleased to welcome 58 representatives from 27 different organizations, our partners and sponsors, all who wanted to be here with all of you and with us for this special gathering. Also, I wanted to acknowledge the JCC Global delegates who join us through the efforts and support of JCC Global. Special thanks to Executive Director Smadar Barakiva for making it possible for JCCs from around the world to be here with us. Those JCCs joining us today are Mexico, making this a true North American JCC gathering, as well as delegates from Ukraine, Poland, Israel, and Serbia. And let's welcome our JWB Jewish Chaplains Council and its director, Rabbi Larry Bazer. JWB, the Jewish Welfare Board, from where JCC Association originates, represents and serves Jewish military personnel in all branches of the armed forces, serving Jews who serve. This amazing room is filled with local JCC board members and professionals who work every day to unite and strengthen their JCC families. And while you arrived as part of your local delegations, our goal is for you to return home feeling more connected, a critical part of the fabric of the extended North American JCC movement, linking arms together to build greater Jewish community and more vibrant Jewish life. While the first JCC was founded 170 years ago, the JCC movement as we know it today is only 107 years old. It has served Jewish communities across North America through wars, the Holocaust, the founding of the State of Israel, through global pandemics and bomb threats, through floods and fires, during times of peace and times of immense challenge. And through it all, our JCCs have adapted, evolved, and emerged even stronger. Once again, we find ourselves in unimaginable times. When we started planning this conference, we could not have imagined this moment. Israel in a prolonged and painful war, rising anti-Semitism on our campuses and across our communities, and all of us assuming the greater responsibility for Jewish community leaders. And so, with our understanding of this current moment, and with even greater resolve, we have been working hard to plan this time together to help you navigate this complex moment and provide you with tools and ideas to be the best leaders you can be for your communities today and into tomorrow. Our JSummit 2024 theme is Empowering the Movement. It is built upon three foundational elements which guide our movement's direction: the power of partnership, the power of leadership, and the power of peoplehood. These are the elements that fuel us. They propel us to build strong and resilient communities. This is the power of the movement. I hope over the next 48 hours you will immerse yourselves through each of these themes and go home with a renewed and recharged commitment to your own JCCs and to the JCC movement. From initial brainstorming to what you'll experience, our JSummit Steering Committee has worked tirelessly to create an unforgettable experience. For more than a year, they have given their time, ideas, and have exemplified partnership and leadership at every stage to bring this event forward and to ensure that we could build a powerful and meaningful event. And I believe that through the partnership of our lay and professional leadership, including JCC volunteers, JCC Association board members, CEOs from across our movement, and the JCC Association staff, we have delivered. Amplifying the power of movement, huge thanks go to the JCC Chicago for your warm and generous welcome to Chicago. including the incredible gift bags you all just received, bringing us violins of hope, our very special day tomorrow at the Lake County JCC, and of course, the Chicago Cubs experience at the conclusion of JSummit. Thank you, Ed.D. Goodman, JCC Chicago CEO. To your staff and lay community, your local volunteers for truly modeling the power of partnership. I also want to extend our deepest gratitude to our generous sponsors and partners who have made JSummit 2024 possible. Their unwavering support has been instrumental in bringing us together for this unique opportunity to learn, connect, and grow. Throughout the conference, we encourage you to meet and engage with our sponsors and partners, many of whom will be in J-Town Square. Speaking of J-Town Square, it's located at the Regency level, just 2 floors down, where most workshops will take place. J-Town Square has been designed to provide a casual and inviting community space meant to foster informal conversations, delegation check-ins, coaching, to connect with many of our partners and sponsors, as well as being a destination to recharge, literally and figuratively, reconnect and reflect, or maybe even just have a cup of coffee with a new friend. It replicates the town square present in every JCC. I hope to see you all down at J-Town Square at some point, and please come and introduce yourselves. A few quick things before we get started. First, this is a nearly paperless conference. You can find information on all JSummit experiences on the JSummit guide, which is, by the way, fantastic. If you have yet to download it, you can do it now. The JCC Association staff are ready to help. Just stop by the registration table. The guide has many features to help you network and communicate throughout the conference, including maps, photo albums, an all newsfeed, JSummit newsfeed called News and Chat. And for the competitive ones among you, you can earn leaderboard points by making connections and contributing to discussions. To show you how fun it is, everyone's going to take out their phones and open up their apps, and I'm going to take a selfie. If I can find my camera. Everybody say cheese. Now, take a moment, open up the guide. Take a selfie with the person sitting next to you, and then upload it into the app. Go to the main menu. Everybody go to the main menu of your app. Click News and Chat. Then you click Attendee Photo. All right, I'm holding on. People are definitely doing it. Right, thank you everybody for participating and doing that. I think it'll be really fun to see those afterwards. And don't forget to have your delegation photo taken by our official conference photographer. All the photo opportunities are in the schedule, in the JSummit guide, and our backdrop is right outside the ballroom in the foyer. There's so much to look forward to over the next 3 days. You'll have an intimate dinner while in a room with 400 plus people at this evening's movement-wide Shabbat-style dinner in partnership with One Table. Tomorrow morning, we're headed to the Lake County JCC, where we'll experience our themes of partnership, leadership, and peoplehood in action. And you'll get to see how this JCC has innovated their programs to become a cutting-edge and highly effective draw for their community. And let's not overlook our exceptional program of workshops and plenaries, featuring Ron Wolfson, leaders from our field, JCC Association Board Chair David Wax, Acting President and CEO Jennifer Mamlet, Dr. Michal Biton and Haviv Retchigur on Wednesday morning, all capped off by former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, the featured speaker in our closing plenary. All of this complemented by hands-on workshops where so much of the important learning and networking happens. But don't worry, while it will be a packed 48 hours, we don't want you to feel like you're missing something. As most of our workshops today and tomorrow are being repeated, you will have the opportunity to attend your top 2 without having to choose. We invite you to lean into each experience and opportunity with energy and curiosity, and check the JSummit Guide, the app, for descriptions of everything. My own JC story began 27 years ago when my husband Michael and I moved to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. We found our community at the JCC of Wyoming Valley, and so began my love affair with the JCC movement. As I'm sure many of you can attest, JCCs have a way of quickly becoming an integral part of one's community. When we moved to the DC area in 2001, another JCC greeted us with open arms. The JCC of Greater Washington, now known as the Bender JCC, quickly became a cornerstone of our family's life. It was there over the next 20 years that we became intimately involved through preschool, camp, JCC Maccabi, and beyond. After serving as the board chair at the Bender JCC, I joined the board of JCC Association of North America, and the rest, as they say, is history. Zach Bodner, CEO of the Oshman Family JCC in Palo Alto, from whom we will hear on Wednesday, wrote in his book, Why Do Jewish? Community is central to who we are as human beings. We are all searching for connection, for belonging. We are hardwired to seek community. And as Jews, we've built this into our operating system. Finding the right community can give your life meaning and have life-changing implications. I couldn't agree more. Never has this need for connection been more urgent since October 7th. Your JCCs have provided spaces for your community members to participate in Jewish life in whatever way is meaningful and relevant for them. You have all committed yourselves to providing these opportunities repeatedly through the programming you offer each and every day. So, thank you. Thank you for taking time to be here, to learn, to listen, and to add your voice and to celebrate the JCC movement. In her book, Retention Revolution, my friend, best-selling author and workplace strategist Eric Keswin advises CEOs, board chairs, and others to onboard by starting as you mean to go on. I invite you to set your intention right now. What do you want to learn this week? What do you want to get to know? What skills are you hoping to add to your leadership toolkit? Look inward and set your kavanah, your intention. Devote yourself to being fully present, to participating in all of the experiences, workshops, and plenaries we have planned. And use the time in between to network and grow, learn together, and may you have a wonderful and meaningful JSummit experience. It's now my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, and I could not think of a better voice to get us started than Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove. Rabbi Cosgrove is the senior rabbi at Park Avenue Synagogue in New York City, a flagship congregation in the conservative movement. He spent part of his life here in Chicago, and like our JCCs, he seeks to create Jewish life that embraces members in inclusive, personal, and deeply meaningful ways. Throughout his career, Rabbi Cosgrove's leadership and wisdom have inspired and guided many, and we are honored to have him here with us to share his expertise and insights about what a movement is and what it can and ought to be, especially for such a time as this, which happens to be the title of Rabbi Cosgrove's forthcoming book. Please join me in welcoming Rabbi Cosgrove to the JSummit stage.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much to Lisie for that warm welcome to all of us and the warm introduction to David. I want to thank you as the JCC Association Board Chair, to Jennifer as the Acting President and CEO for the warm welcome, of course, to Mark Young. And I do want to thank, I'm not sure where she's sitting, board member Shelley Kupfer, who is also my sister-in-law. I wish you continued mazel tov on the wedding of your daughter, my niece. Everyone's still raving at it, and I understand the officiating rabbi was off the charts. Most of all, thank you to the JCC movement, lay and professional leaders who work every day to make every Jewish community, center, or camp that much stronger. According to tradition, if sufficient time has passed, one recites the Shehechianu blessing, the passage of time since the last such occasion. Today marks the first lay professional summit in over 6 years. So whether it's your first summit ever or the first time in a very long time, I'll ask you to join me in reciting the Shehechianu together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu LaZman Hazeh. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, who rules the universe, who's kept us in life and sustained us, enabling us to reach Zman Hazeh, this time. For me, Being back in Chicago, as Lisie mentioned, is about the passage of time. My wife and I lived here for 9 years. Our children, who have all now left the nest, were all born here. Our first daycare was the Bernard Horwich JCC on Tui. My first job as a rabbi in Lakeview was a partnership with the Synagogue and the Florence Heller JCC. When I landed this morning, I felt like I was back home. When I landed this morning, I felt the passage of time to this time, Zman Hazeh. A little grayer, a little nostalgic, this time different than the time before. Not too long ago, the economist Seth Stevens Davidowitz described a study conducted on people's music downloads and what it shows about our musical tastes. In this era of data collection and analytics, all this stuff can and actually is tracked. Davidowitz shares that Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman is downloaded most by women aged 70 and above, who were 17 or thereabouts at the time of the song's release. Van Morrison's Crazy Love is downloaded most by men in their mid-60s, who were approximately 16 years old at the time of that song's release. The Cure's Just Like Heaven is downloaded most by women in their 50s, who were in their teens when it was released in 1987. The list goes on, but the point is one and the same, and it affirms what we know to be intuitively true, and were I to look at all your Spotify favorite lists, would probably reveal. The music we listen to reflects a view that stabilized long ago. For better or for worse, our formative influences become our normative ones. We never outgrow the tastes that were implanted in us when we were young. It's true of music, it's true of everything. I can recount to you the infield, outfield, and pitching rotation of the Los Angeles Dodgers of my youth. In my imagination, that team is far superior to any other Dodger team that has ever been fielded. We know intellectually that this time, Zman Hazeh is different than that time, but it's hard to let that time go. We always consider our reference points, our song lists, our favorite teams to be our spiritual home. Whatever comes after is deemed inferior to the preferences we hold sacred. And it's not just baseball, and it's not just Van Morrison. It's also what we do as a Jewish community. There's a range of ages and stages here today, and it's no one's fault when you were born. As a French philosopher Valéry once wrote, we're all destined to live in the time into which we are born. The circumstances of our birth are happenstance, but as a Jewish community, we often get stuck. The older generation criticizes the younger generation. They say they didn't grow up in the wake of the Holocaust. They don't know the anxiety we felt in 67 or 73 when Israel was being pushed in the sea, the struggles of Soviet Jewry. They don't know Entebbe. Sometimes the present generation blames the previous generation for all their sins. We're not to blame. You're the ones who bequeathed to us these problems. Thanks for nothing. And if you're going to point fingers, maybe you should begin with yourself. We have all sorts of alibis to excuse present inertia. We do anything other than what we should be doing to ask the question of Zman Hazeh, this time. What does this time demand of us? What are the challenges and opportunities of our present moment? What are the most creative, dynamic responses to the needs of this generation? And then how do we as leaders allocate resource, time, and talent towards making them happen? So on this summit devoted to leadership in your individual role, the JCC movement, and what we can all accomplish together, let's pause and ask the question. If you were to look back on the 20th century and ask yourself, who were the great shapers of North American Jewish life, which names would come to mind? Anyone, any brave soul want to shout one out? Elie Wiesel. Ben Gurion, well, North American Jewish life, but I'll give you that. Mordechai Kaplan. All right, let me give you three, and these are all good ones, and one we already got, which we are at a JCC conference. Mordechai Kaplan. Who was Mordechai Kaplan? He stood, Rabbi, as the ticket-taking counter of waves of Jewish immigrants were arriving in North America, and he saw that the old world model of Eastern European shtiebels wasn't going to satisfy the needs of the burgeoning community here in this side of the Atlantic. So on 86th Street, on the Upper West Side, he created the Jewish Center, which became the model for synagogues all around the country, a shul with a pool and a school. Today, we take it for granted that our synagogue should have gymnasiums, Hebrew schools, and social halls, but this was an innovation from the old world, a new way for community to come together. Kaplan's view of Judaism and civilization has shaped every denomination and every institution of American Jewish life. It's due to Kaplan and his students that his vision took hold in synagogues, the JCC movement, and across the globe. It's due to Kaplan, literally, that we are all here today. Number two, I'm not sure if anyone said this one, Henrietta Zold. Henrietta Zold. This year, 2024, marks 100 years exactly since the opening of Hadassah's School of Nursing in Jerusalem, a pivotal moment in the development of healthcare in pre-state Israel. But it was also a transformative moment beyond Zold's vision of building a modern healthcare infrastructure in the region. Here in this room, much more. By way of Hadassah, Zold changed American Judaism forever. She created an instrument whereby North American Jews, even as they were acclimating to Kaplan's vision of Jewish life, had a mechanism to support our brothers and sisters in the nascent Jewish homeland. Zold announced to the world that one could be an American and a Zionist. She was arguably the founder of American Zionism as we know it. The fact that she was a woman who created a movement of women's empowerment in the wake of women's suffrage makes her contributions that much more important. If you're an agent of change in the Jewish world, a person who believes that your identity is tied to the condition of the Jews in Israel, all the more so if you are a woman who leads, then you are who you are due to Henrietta Zold. Number three, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Chabad. The Lubavitcher Rebbe understood that as powerful as Kaplan's model was, as transformative as movements like Hadassah may be, there are an awful lot of Jews who aren't self-selecting into these visions. The Rebbe set into motion a universe of shlichim, the Hebrew word for emissaries, going from campus to campus, community to community, from mitzvah tank to mitzvah tank, shaking a lulav, standing on a street corner, helping people put on tefillin, collecting the lost sparks of Jewish community, a campaign that has spread far and wide, on campus, online, everywhere. Like Kaplan and Zold, the Rebbe's vision for Jewish life has ripple effects well beyond Chabad. A non-judgmental, come-as-you-are vision of Jewish leadership, pre-modern in its sensibility, but modern in its approach, that has challenged and transformed all of Jewish life. Reform, conservative, Orthodox, post-denominational, every movement of Jewish life today has been shaped by the philosophy of Chabad. Three models of Jewish leadership: leaders who are able to discern the transformations at hand in American Jewish life, who asked the question of Zman Hazeh and constructed a new method and movement, a blend of the old and the new, or perhaps something totally new, in order to address the changing landscape. Visionary leaders as different as can be, but who shared a common quality. They didn't wag their fingers. They didn't sit nostalgic for days of old. They created a model of Jewish life and living that suited their generation and the one to come. They demonstrated the ability to assess the conditions of the day, to ask the hard questions, to imagine the model that recommends itself for the future, and then actualize that vision. In a word, each said, Hineni, here I am. To know where you came from, to know where you are, to imagine a future and work to make that future happen. That's what Hineni, here I am, means. Hineni is a word that traces back to the very first Jew, the smasher of idols himself, Abraham, who was able to create a new model and introduce monotheism to the world. As we're going to read in the upcoming holidays, the rabbis explain that on the way to Mount Moriah to fulfill God's command, when the servants saw nothing, Abraham saw a shining mountain ahead. Hineni is what the maidservant Hagar said when she was thrown into the wilderness and believed that all hope was lost. God called out to her. She said, Hineni, and she was able to see the well that saved her son, herself, and the future. This was Moses at the burning bush, who said, Hineni, because Moses saw that the reality that the children of Israel were experiencing in servitude was not the fullness of their potential. The value of Moses' leadership wasn't that he was a good speaker or he was a people person. He wasn't. But unlike Pharaoh, whose heart was hardened to the point that he was unable to imagine a reality beyond what he knew, Moses was able to imagine a new reality and communicate that reality to his people. That is the prophetic imagination that began with Abraham, continuing through Genesis to Moses to Queen Esther, when she stepped up to Micah, Isaiah, Amos, and every leader in Jewish history since. The ability to speak to the conditions of the day and anticipate and work towards anticipating and realizing a future reality. It was a great philosopher of the Jewish people, Maimonides, who in the third book of his Guide to the Perplexed asks the question directly: what makes a prophet a prophet? Is a prophet someone who predicts the future? Is a prophet someone who tells people to repent, who holds God's wrath back? For Maimonides, a prophet is someone who possesses three things. First, the rational faculty to assess a situation at hand. Dreamers are great, but a prophet is not a dreamer. A prophet is someone who looks at present circumstances, blemishes, and all. Second, imagination. A prophet, unable to be complacent, is infused by imagination. And third, courage. A true prophet is able to leap and let go of one rung and jump towards another, the courage to make that imagined future a reality. These are the attributes that have defined Hineni throughout our history, and with the leadership of the JCC movement assembled, it's that same spirit that should guide our efforts in these days to come. How do we assess where we are? How do we imagine a reality that is not being realized? How do we muster the requisite courage and resources to make that ideal real? There's no shortage of topics we can consider. Long before October 7th, there have been urgent questions on the Jewish docket: movements and membership, a world of disintermediation, upheavals for synagogues, federations, JCCs, and beyond, a talent pipeline crisis in the development of the next generation of communal professionals and lay leaders. We're living through changing definitions of Jewish identity and Jewish community, where we, our children and grandchildren, are all, in no small way, Jews by choice. Each challenge could be a speech of its own, each deeply important, many of which I am sure will be addressed in the breakout sessions to come. And yet, given our moment, the ongoing war, the hostages, the threats Israel faces, and the threats the global Jewish people face, we need to talk about Zman Hazeh, this moment, and ask how the JCC movement may want to respond to this moment with a full-throated Hineni for such a time as this. As I've argued many places and many times this past year, as I do in my book, October 7th changed everything and nothing at the same time. The threat of Hamas, of Hezbollah, of Iran long preceded October 7th. So, for that matter, did the challenge of intersectionality, the politicization of support for Israel, and the toxic blurring between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. Which anti-Semitism is a greater threat, that of the progressive left or the nationalist right? Who is a David and who is a Goliath in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Can one be vigilant on behalf of Israel and have empathy for Palestinian suffering? What can a diaspora Jew say or not say about Israel, about an Israel at war with her neighbors? What can we say, what can we do about Jews in the Jewish family who threaten our people by way of extremist and violent ideology and action? What can we say, what can we do about Jews and the Jewish family who stand in the encampments in solidarity with those who would deny Israel the right to self-defense and self-determination? What will come of our Judaism if it comes to be defined solely by way of being aligned with this or that policy of the Israeli government? What will become of our Judaism if it's defined by way of the enmity of others and not by way of the draw of tradition, community, and Jewish literacy? These questions all existed in some fashion prior to October 7th. But what happened on October 7th and since October 7th is that these questions are being asked openly, urgently, and with existential implications that cannot be ignored or avoided. The threats are real for Israel and for American Jewry. The fault lines have broken open. Yes, there's been a surge of Jewish identity since October 7th, but it didn't come for a good reason, and we have no idea how long it will last. It has come at too great a cost, and the unity of last fall is showing signs of crumbling. What exactly does it mean to say Hineni in a time like this? The task at hand, the challenge at hand, is for institutions of American Jewish life, with the JCC Association at the lead, to construct a vision that embraces the complexity, paradoxes, threats, and opportunities of this time, our engagement with Israel, with tradition, and perhaps most of all, with each other. First of all, you know, it's amazing I get to say all this, but then I go on a plane and you are here for the next few days. These are my views. First of all, we need a vision that begins with love for the Jewish people and teaches our children and grandchildren our history, the dreams of every wave and stage of history, our national longings, the pitfalls of exile, and the right to the land. We need a Marshall Plan to rebuild our deficit of memory. Love of the country can't come only by way of social media. A formal and informal and most of all experiential curriculum whereby our children are in dialogue with Israelis of every variety, in person, through partnerships with like-minded Israeli institutions, Zoom, travel, education, what have you. A curriculum based on knowledge and the humility that the Middle East is not the Midwest, and that Israel has every right to make decisions in its best interests, even when those decisions run contrary to what we might want as American Jews. The coming generation of American Zionists must be given tools that help them be resilient, self-confident, and adroit defenders of Israel, of the real Israel, not the imagined one. We need to do more, we need to do better, and we need to be all in. Second, we need a big tent American Judaism that champions reasoned dialogue, what I refer to as a sane center. I know what my political views are, but as a rabbi to a politically diverse congregation, and more importantly, the father of 4 college-age children, I know that important as my views may be, it's equally important to make sure that those who feel otherwise as to the best way to secure a Jewish, democratic, and safe Israel know that they too have a seat in the table. The Jewish world doesn't lack for external enemies. We need not make enemies from within. If 500,000 Israelis can hit the streets last week in Tel Aviv out of their love for Israel, the argument that it's somehow not kosher for an American Jew to do so simply does not hold. The Sane Center must not let those who have embraced the ideological and philanthropic extremes to define the field of play in terms of debate. We who live between the 40-yard lines have a unique role to play in American Zionism today. We can defend Israel, support religious pluralism, nurture efforts to achieve Arab-Jewish dialogue and shared society. Because the stakes are so high, the Sane Center must speak with passion and volume. Our people and our institutions must protect each other from the ideologues on the extremes, rallying people, money, and discipline for a cause that is just. Above all, we must let the world know that we are all in this together. Finally, we need to understand that North American Zionism is not a substitute for Judaism. For far too many Jews support or non-support for Israel has become a vicarious faith, a civil religion masking the inadequacies of our lived connection to the Jewish people. The only way Israel will learn from, listen to, or care about diaspora Jews is if we show ourselves to be living committed Jewish lives. To be good Zionists, we have to be better Jews. A robust diaspora Jewish identity can weather policy differences with this or that Israeli government and withstand the indignity of being a punching bag for a campus culture run amok, something a paper-thin Jewish identity cannot do. Allowing my Jewish identity to be defined by those who do not recognize me as a liberal Jew or a Zionist is a victory I will not grant them. As Chicago nemesis and Green Bay Packer coach Vince Lombardi once taught, the best defense is a good offense. Strong, vibrant, inclusive, pluralistic institutions of diaspora Jewish life. That is the path to the future of North American Judaism and the future of North American Zionism. Robust Israel curriculum, Big Ten institutions championing the same center, and the North Star reminder that while peoplehood and nationhood are foundational building blocks for Jewish identity, they are not a substitute for it. 3 responses to our present moment, which, if I had to name the organization best positioned to address them, it would be the JCC Association of North America, an umbrella organization which, if I'm not mistaken, serves over 170 Jewish community centers and Jewish community camps across North America, an organization whose mission is to advance and enrich North American Jewish life by way of educational, cultural, social, and recreational programs for people of all ages. I know times are tough. Believe me, I know running a large communal organization is not easy. But sometimes I fear that we become like the man in the rabbinic fable who travels the world seeking a treasure only to discover that it's been buried beneath his home all along. In our age of disintermediation and divisiveness, it's a very countercultural of JCCs as community centers that can be our very calling card. Early childhood, the arts, wellness, camp and youth, adults and culture, these are vehicles reflecting our commitment to the Jewish people. The question is not whether the mission sells. The question is whether we can demonstrate adaptive leadership, cultivate new leadership, adopt best practices, and harness the power of working together as a movement to stay current with the evolving landscape we serve. JCCs are positioned to convene the conversations, to effectuate the transformations needed to meet the systemic challenges facing North American Jewry. Good ideas abound. There are new approaches and partnerships to be imagined. We need to think big, think like prophets, enter the arena, dare to fail, and no different than generations before, step up to the calling of the hour. As the saying goes, if all we ever do is all we've ever done, then all we will ever get is all we have ever gotten. Now is the time to say Hineni. Shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu LaZman Hazeh, who has kept us in life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this time. This time, not a time long since past, nor for that matter a future time about which we know nothing. As Kaplan himself wrote, the only ones to decide whether the continuity of a community is maintained are those who are actually confronted with a problem. This is a time to which we must respond, our Hineni moment. So I ask you, what would you like your Hineni to be? Me? When they hang my tallis in the rafters, I'd like someone to say, he came to the table with his eyes and mind open. He was willing to take an honest look at the changing landscape. He was willing to fight to preserve that which had to be protected and willing to break a few idols of the past that had to be broken. He wasn't afraid to change his mind once or twice along the way, and he worked courageously, collaboratively, and joyously to actualize a vital future for our people. These are the ingredients, the basic ingredients of Hineni moments throughout Jewish history. May that be our blessing. May that be our charge. May the leadership of the JCC movement be ever on the move, and may we all enter the future with strength. Thank you.
I would like to just maybe together as a community, it's time for us to say amen.
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 Good afternoon, everybody. That sucked. Let's try that again. Good afternoon, everybody. For those of you I don't know, which is I think maybe 7 of you, my name is Mark Shapiro, and I am absolutely blessed in every possible way to get to be the president and CEO of the Harry and Rose Samson Family Jewish Community Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thank you. Or as I like to call it, the far northern suburb of Chicago, since that's where I was born. I just know there's not that many Milwaukeeans in here, so I can get away with saying that. I feel blessed in so many very specific ways. One is that I have a microphone and unlimited amount of time to talk to all of you. It's okay, relax, I was just kidding. I feel blessed because Rabbi Cosgrove just said one of those magic words, one that it is quite easy to build upon. It's so different than when we went to Hebrew school and they would take attendance, right? Me'ir, and I would answer, ani po. Actually, I would answer, ani po. For those of you who don't know, that just simply means I'm here. It's hineni, that word that means I'm all in. This is my moment. Well, this is our moment. It was 2018. We were in Memphis, Tennessee. I swear I hope I was not wearing the same jacket, but I was doing JTalks. We're back. Ready or not, here we go. Buckle up for the next few, hours or so. Keep your hands and feet inside the ride at all times. Pull that shoulder strap over because we're about to go on a ride to identify what exactly does partnership mean. We heard the rabbi tell us about from where we came, but it's truly for where we're going that is going to be that question. Now, the least smart thing I could possibly do is start with the definition of the word. So why not just go for it, right? Partnership, in and of itself, the state of being a partner or partners, followed by duh. But it is that we have to be working towards what is our definition of partnership. Now, there have been some great examples in the past. Some collaborations of 2 people whose partnership led to changing of the world in so many ways. I really hope I don't have to put the words across the bottom of who this is. I hope you've got this one. Just based on the age bracket that's in the room, I know I don't have to. I'm just curious, anybody know who these 2 are? If you don't, just take a look at your Apple Watch. It should remind you very quickly who they are, right? Some really great partnerships that killed it, crushed it. And then there's these. Collaborations between Old Spice and Arby's, right? Don't sweat the meat sweats. Just slap on a little bit of the Old Spice. It'll cover it all up. That, and so will the horsey sauce, if you needed it, right? There's this one, my favorite, the partnership between Lifetime Television and Kentucky Fried Chicken. This was a real attempt at a collaboration. Mostly, I love the choice of Mario Lopez as the young Colonel Sanders. I really hope we're going to be able to make a much better definition. I needed somebody to actually like that joke. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate it. It's our opportunity to make a new definition of what does partnership really mean. At our JCC a number of years ago, I talk about feeling blessed. And in so many ways, I feel blessed, quite frankly, to be in this room. So many partnerships, so many friends, so many organizations. We're blessed with the fact that tonight we get to have our dinner powered by One Table. Happen to have a little bit of a partnership favor for them right now in light of the fact that my youngest daughter, Sophie, has just started working for One Table is here. So from a Lador Vador, there's my partnership. Sorry, I told you I was going to do it. But it's the idea that, like at our JCC, we decided partnership was going to be what we do for a decade or more. Guys, remember that Simon Sinek piece where he had the 3 circles? You got, ooh, good. interaction with the crowd. That's good. So does anybody remember what were the 3 circles? What? There was a why, and then there was a how, and what do we do, and how do we do it, and why do we do it? At the JCC in Milwaukee, I thought of this ridiculous idea of having as many people as possible fill out the what, the how, and the why. The problem was I had them do it handwritten on paper. Had I done it like put in, word clouding would have really solved the whole problem quickly. Instead, we were highlighting the words and sorting them like chugim at overnight summer camp. And we ended with this very clear and simple statement. What we do is that we partner to build a healthier Milwaukee. And we do that by meeting our community where they are and our golden circle. We inspire Jewish journeys, and yes, we stole it from the association. It was perfect, so why not do it? And we decided we needed to be all in on partnerships. And so I thought this was simple. We'll come up with some good ideas, and then we'll go out and find people who want to do what we want to do. And we'll partner with them. Wrong. I want you to understand that what we began to realize was partnerships did not exactly mean what we thought it meant. Right? You can almost hear Inigo Montoya saying, I do not think that word means what you think it means. And we found this out by going with these great ideas, finding people that we thought would like this and saying, do you want to do this with us? And then they would say, okay. But that was it. It was the one item, one and done. It happened. It was great. We opened up the J-Shore store in the Bayshore Town Center. But then it closed. Right? What was the long-term relationship that we needed to build? It was instead about identifying people who had shared values that were like ours, where we had no idea what the outcome was going to be. If you throw the word partnership into Google and click images, these are the kinds of things you see. Efficiency and teamwork, collaboration, all of what is a roadmap to partnership, or maybe it's the gears start spinning and collectively we'll deliver it, or you can word cloud it and not be able to come close to reading any of the words that are possibly even there. When in fact, what I'm here to tell you is partnership is this. I thought about the handshake, but I didn't know where we were on the whole COVID thing, so I went for the fist bump instead. And don't worry about it, Lisie, we actually do get to now call it JSummit, right? I just kept calling it the biennial. She said it's JSummit. I said once it actually happens, then we'll call it JSummit. So now we get to call it JSummit from now on. It's that fist bump. It's the partnerships is all about being analog in this digital world. It's a lunch, it's a cup of coffee, it's a conversation. And a really great partnership starts with a fist bump or a handshake simply between two people who have shared values. At the JCC in Milwaukee, we are so proud of our partnership with the Hunger Task Force and Feeding America, coming up on 50 years of running one of the largest food pantries in all of southeastern Wisconsin, serving 25,000 people a 3-day supply of groceries and food throughout the course of a year. Our volunteers, it is the primary passion that drives them. 3% of the population that we serve is Jewish. Facing a surge in anti-Semitism, how do we take our Jewish values, partner with organizations, and then make those Jewish values come alive in ways that aren't just Jewish? Right? We solve hunger guided by Jewish values. We don't just solve Jewish hunger. It's easy. The script's already written, right? Leave a corner of our crops for our neighbors to come and pick from. And that's what we do. We found a partner. This woman, Sherry Tussler. Let me explain. She is crazy. And so we were a perfect match when we met. Jesse Rosen nodding up and down without a doubt. So are my volunteers, laughing, agreeing completely. I think about both of us. But this is it. It's the hand-to-hand, the fist pump. And so the question for us over the next couple of days is, what's our definition of partnership? I don't need Merriam-Webster. I got the best partners right here in this room. And speaking of best partners, I'm excited, as part of bringing JTalks back, to welcome some of the most amazing partner builders in the entire field. People who I've had the blessing of watching just for a couple of years, or watching from the day my career started here. And I'm excited to welcome them up and let them share their partnership journey with each of you. I welcome our friend Lily Rabinoff from the Boston JCC.
Hi, I'm Lily. I'm from Boston. Thank you for having me. Whew, okay, because we are in Chicago and because they won a lot of Emmys last night, I'm going to assume that you've all seen The Bear. If you have not, this is Carmi. He's a very talented chef who, after a family tragedy, comes home to Chicago to run his family restaurant. What ensues is visionary hospitality, brilliant cooking, razor-thin budget margins, deep friendships, and a lot of dirty laundry being hidden from the public. It's exactly the same as a JCC. In Boston, we often talk about the Jewish community as being a healthy ecosystem. The JCC plays a big part, of course, so too do Federation, JCRC, Jewish Family and Children's Services, our day schools, our synagogues, and all the smaller organizations we're so happy to call colleagues. We all have our own programs, areas of expertise, our own donors and board members. It works out so well. It is so tidy. Also, the CEO of Federation was my boss and mentor for 10 years. The Chief Advancement Officer of JF&CS is my closest friend. Her boss, the CEO of JF&CS, is not only a former colleague, but I was also her kid's advisor for all 4 years of high school. She also goes to my shul, so she often needs me to do Haftorah if the person who was assigned to it doesn't show up last minute. Our Chief Strategic Program Officer and Board Chair are members of a large Reform synagogue that is now looking for implementing partners for their next big idea. Our VP of Programs is best friends and across-the-street neighbors with the executive director of a small social service agency that's going to be renting space from the JCC. The regional head of the ADL was a unit head at camp when I was a kid, and I'm just going to go ahead and not tell you which of our lay leaders can and can't be in the same room as each other and why. So ecosystem, maybe. I think we're a lot more like a family business. I know this isn't Boston. I think that this crazy family tree is actually the true nature of Jewish communal life. We all want the same things: thriving, robust Jewish life in our communities, care and services for the moments we need them most, a vision and pathways for our kids to lead lives of Jewish meaning and connection. When we're doing our best work, we dream the culture forward together. But you all have families. That is very hard to achieve. And so with gratitude for the opportunity to be up here with all of you today, I want to share some hard-won lessons that my team and I have learned about how to make this big, loving, messy, and somewhat unwieldy family business work. First, don't assume. A few weeks ago, my team and I had the opportunity to meet with Jonathan and Cynthia from the Boulder JCC for them to share with us about how they use Traction Rec, our CRM. They were incredibly generous, telling us about how they build dashboards, how they use their data for decision making. It was amazing. We're both JCCs. We know each other. We use the same system. And it still required like visual aids, a million follow-up questions, and many, many emails for us to get a real handle on what the kind of work they're doing. It is my responsibility to my family not to share all the gory details when things go awry. But let me tell you that when we tried to do a high-stakes data project with a partner that wasn't a JCC, didn't use the same system as us, and as it turned out, didn't even mean the same thing we meant when we said data, it did not go as well. So, define your terms. I don't care if you are partnering with your literal spouse, sibling, or best friend. It has to be the case that when I say data, or strategy, or impact, or inclusivity, or Jewish life, you know what I mean, and vice versa. I think that's my first point. The most important term to define is what success looks like. We all want the same thing: thriving, robust, financially viable Jewish life in our communities that cares for us. That is too big of a goal for any single project or initiative. It is also too big of a goal to help me make any decisions. Also, it feels really bad if I think a project's been successful and you think it isn't, because we didn't take the time at the top to say what success actually looks like. So what does success look like? Are we sure? My success is going to be your success, and my failure, your failure. So this is our moment. Third, name what matters. This is my sister. Her name is Davia. She's the best. We are not twins, but I do want you to take our resemblance as an avatar for how close we are and how similar our outlooks. That being said, as with any two humans, we are not actually the same. When my sister and I are working through challenges or dilemmas, Oftentimes she tells me I've gotten it wrong. Often I've misunderstood a relationship, I've miscalculated her priorities. It is almost always because I've taken what matters most to me and assumed that that's what matters most to her. But it's not true, and then my suggestions don't fit. Because she's my sister, she tells me I'm wrong, and then we revise. But I'm not sure we always do the same with our communal partners. As similar as we are, as overlapping as our ambitions and our stakeholders, whatever, we are not actually the same. Our biggest goals, our most important stakeholders, and how we want to position ourselves in the community are not only different from one another, but they actually may not be self-evident. We have to actually tell each other what we hold most dear so that we're able to say what success looks like, figure out which battles to pick, and what we're really willing to give up in service of partnership. 2, don't get in over your head. When we get together with our Jewish communal partners, we get very excited and we start to think we can change the world. It's really inspiring and it's true. It is not, however, true all at once. This is why the word pilot exists. But when we get together with our partners in the Jewish community, we start to spin ourselves up and think that we should swing for the fences. We should swing for the fences. We probably even need to, but it's not where we start. Partnership is really hard, and partnership when we're enmeshed, when we have overlap, and when resources are constrained is even harder. We have to be ambitious, aspirational, and visionary in service of our communities, but we have to also allocate some of that ambition, aspiration, and vision to the partnership itself. We want to change the world. Jewish people have been doing so for millennia. But in order to get there, we have to be pragmatic, intentional, and step-by-step so that the foundational partnership is strong enough to support that vision. One way to support the vision is to put someone in charge. So often, when we are in world-changing, creative collaboration mode, we are so engaged with each other's ideas that not only do we get ahead of ourselves, but we neglect to properly assign roles and responsibilities. Great ideas, shared vision, needs shared energy, but it also needs point people. We actually all know this already. But somehow, we miss this step. And my colleagues and I have had this experience where we end up getting shuffled from the program person to the marketing person to the funding person, and we end up feeling like we're shouting into the abyss and nothing's getting done. We've done it ourselves because it's all in the spirit of inclusivity, but it's also incredibly demoralizing. The best thing we can do for our teams and for our ideas is to put someone in charge, empower them with actual decision-making abilities, and making sure that their peer at our partner organization can do the same. Finally, the personal is professional, the professional is personal. This would all be easier if I didn't have to go to Trader Joe's at 8 p.m. wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses so that nobody gives me feedback while I'm choosing snack mix. I literally go to Trader Joe's at 8 o'clock. But these boundaries are hard. It's hard to have healthy boundaries with people we've loved, we've argued with, we've had over for Shabbat dinner, and whose kids are in school with our kids. I actually think that boundary thing is not going to change, and so the best thing we can do for each other is to admit it. It's okay that it's hard. It's okay that it's a constantly shifting calculus. We have to be honest about it. We have to honestly tell each other when things are hard. We have to be able to ask for what we want and what we need, and we have to be able to say when things feel too close and ask for some help and for some grace. Not only does this make our work more honest, but these are the being able to hold transparency, being transparent, and to hold ambiguity are great leadership traits to begin with, and they really matter when we're doing business with family. They make our work together more honest, and they build our trust. That's what this is all about, is trust. We are all in this room because we want to spend our time working with and for the Jewish people. But we all know from our own lives that even with the people we're closest with, trust has to be invested in and it has to be earned. Often we're taking shortcuts. We think that when we keep things casual, when we leave things unsaid, it's an indication of our trust in one another. But in fact, the opposite is true. The real marker of our trust and our care for one another is our willingness to do the hard work together. I don't know what the Jewish communal equivalent of a Michelin star is. I gave it a shot. What I do know is that I want my friends at the Bear to earn one. And in order to get there, they're going to need to name what matters, pare down their menu, figure out who's in charge, and say the quiet parts out loud. The same is true for our beautiful communities. This is how we create the change we want to see in the world. Our families need it, the Jewish people deserve it, and I know we can do it. Thank you.
Rushed it. See what I mean? Yeah, that is like I had to go before her and after her. That doesn't feel very fair at all. It was amazing to watch these threads get sewn together. The rabbi suggested that we were supposed to be ready with what was our hineni, and we just watched as Lily answered the question with, we're gonna have to be vulnerable. We're gonna have to be, we all want that thriving, robust Jewish community, so we're gonna have to be vulnerable to be willing to share our dream of what a culture with partnership looks like. But we also then have to realize we can't just do it from what we want or what our dream is. We have to actually be open to somebody else's. And I love that you mentioned to us that we have to invest as much time in the partnership as in the program or the product. Because the program and the product, it'll happen, but it won't be spectacular or sustain if the partnership isn't there. And the one that I think is hardest for all of us is the great reminder. We need to empower, I believe that word would be somewhere right there, empower with actual decision-making power. The ability to make that change. Great steps for us. And I just want to say thank you for tying it all together for us. Great job. From the day that I showed up at my first Mifgash, my exec conference, I have been blessed with having a mentor, a friend, a partner, and somebody who just seems to crush everything he does. So when we decided we were going to be talking about the power of partnership, it was the first name thrown out, no offense to me or Lily or anybody else, but is my dear friend Scott Ehrlich, CEO of the Posnack JCC in Davie, Florida. It's all yours, brother.
All right. I guess, so I did cue up the music. Everybody like that song? So 1986, Run DMC couldn't get on MTV. Anybody remember that? Rap couldn't get on MTV, and Aerosmith couldn't get off drugs. Right? So what happened? A young man from Long Island, Rick Rubin, anybody know who that is? Famous music producer, gets these two bands together and they redo Walk This Way. What a great collaboration. Now think about the chance you're taking, 1986, to get a rap and a rock band together, especially Aerosmith at the time was not in good condition, and catapult both of their careers forward. So I wanted to start with that because I thought that was an important collaboration, and I like the song. So today I'm going to do two things. Number one, we're going to talk about brand collaboration, and then number two, I'm going to talk about the 4 doors that are going to open our JCC, that have already opened our JCC, and are going to open up your JCCs to county, state, and federal support. Anybody want county, state, and federal support? Brand matching collaboration. And I just want to say that I did take this picture with Tyreek Hill before he was put down and put in handcuffs for driving 130 miles an hour down the Miami Dolphin Speedway. Just so you know, brand collaborations are important. We are a center at the Posnack JCC in Fort Lauderdale of excellence. We are not collaborating with everybody. How many people get a lot of calls about collaboration? Everybody wants to call the J, we want to collaborate, we want to do this together. We are very careful, we are very thoughtful, and I talk we, our board, our staff, about who we are collaborating with. So I just want to talk about a few things. You can see the Miami Heat, the Miami Dolphins, but Alchemy Sports, just so you know, we have a sports rehab and a strength training center for professional athletes. That's why Tyreek's at the J. That's why C.D. Lamb comes. That's why Geno Smith comes. That's why Gronk used to come. That's why Odell Beckham Jr. is swimming in the pool with our kids this summer. We have 100 NFL athletes that come to the J. And part of that, we just say, be nice to the kids, sign some autographs, enjoy yourself, and we make sure they have a secure place to work out and do their rehab and strengthening. And I made sure who Alchemy Sports was. We went through long interviews about collaboration. Their director is on ESPN. He's on ESPN News. I wanted to make sure this was the right person for us. Bagel Boss. Anybody have any bagels from Long Island? Any Long Islanders here? Yes, Bagel Boss, kosher bagels at the JCC. It is Bagel Boss and Starbucks together. Now, I love Starbucks. Todd Rockoff and I go and drink a lot of Starbucks, but we know that brand. I wasn't going to, we had a Dunkin' Donuts owner that said, hey, we can get Dunkin' Donuts in. I like Dunkin' Donuts as well, but Starbucks was my matching brand of excellence that I wanted at the J. And when Bagel Boss approached us to do it together, I tasted 12 different bagels, their tuna, and every single thing that they had to make sure that everything tasted well. And I still am I haven't lost enough weight, but the fact is that I made sure it tasted well, because what were the members going to say? If the bagel wasn't good, it wasn't Bagel Boss's bagel. Whose bagel is it? The JCC's bagel sucks. And I didn't want to have that. And just so you know, Bagel Boss bagels are amazing. We ship them in from Long Island each week. We are doing Uber Eats. It's crazy the amount of bagels that we're doing. We are selling out our bagels every day, and we have a huge bagel plate. It's crazy. So I want to talk about that. The other one, Saviano Juventus, high-level soccer, high-level tennis program, nationally and internationally renowned. So we have international and local soccer players, tennis players coming in at a really high level. And lastly, you see the TBY thing there. TBY is for Temple Bat Yam. Years ago, I'm on a Federation mission. I sit next to the president of this small synagogue on the east side in Fort Lauderdale. And he says, hey, aren't you the Posnack guy? He goes, we would like to have you take over our preschool. I said, well, when we get back to town, let me go look at it. I looked at the preschool. I walked in, and I said, this is the worst preschool I've ever seen in my life. He goes, thank you for being honest. He was leasing it out to another non-denominational preschool, and they were paying him $80,000 a year. So I said, it doesn't match our brand. I said, it's going to cost you $1.5 million to invest in your preschool. You have to gut it. You have to put these floors. You have to put these sinks. You have to put this there. You have to do all that. And if you do it, we will come, because the Posnack name is a renowned name in Broward County and in Palm Beach too, right, Jess? Yeah. Sorry, Jess. There you go. Hey, Jesse, that wasn't me that put the signs on 95. Billboards on 95. I don't know what they were. They were from Maccabi games, right? Anyway, they put $1.5 million in the belief that we were going to run their school. And they did it. And just so you know, we 3X'd their portion of, they went from $80,000 to $240,000 net profit. And we had a net profit for the J of $240,000. And that's just estimates. We actually did better last year. So we now have 110 kids in that school. We're sold out. We have a waiting list. We have a camp there. We have after school there. So, you know, it was a big risk on our part to put that out there and say, hey, if you put $1.5 million in from a synagogue that was really failing, and they did, and it's really saving their synagogue. So that collaboration is really important, and I think it could be done and replicated all over the country. So if you ever want to see any notes on that, please see that. All right, now I'm going to open 4 doors. So next slide. Here are the 4 doors. 2 of these doors are programs that were created and built by our staff team over many years. The other 2 doors are national collaborations that we chose to collaborate with. And we were and I'll talk about that as we get there. Anyway, door number 1. The door opens kind of slow, just so you know. All right, Jewish education and anti-Semitism, especially after October 7th. This is an initial thing. We built a Holocaust Learning Center like you've never seen. It's small but powerful. We have an Anne Frank annex where you pull the door and you walk up into Anne Frank's room. We have teacher training for 150 Broward County school teachers, and we bring in 1,500 kids at least every year from Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, sorry, Jesse, and Broward County. So we're bringing kids in all the time. So I just want to, you'll see at the bottom, we did an appropriation for the state. And I'm going to talk about those keys a little bit later. But we put an appropriation for $200,000. State, we wrote it up. We spent a lot of time. Would you give us $200,000 to help us with this program? And what does it say there? Denied. Oh, you know when you get that, you didn't get into a certain college? You ever get that? And you get it, well, my kids didn't get it. I would get it, right? But the fact is we were denied. I got that paper. I felt terrible. So what did I do? I called one of the donors that was involved, and she was a small donor to that Holocaust Learning Center. And I said, just so you know, we did all our work, and our team did a great job. And just so you know, I have the best team working on our grants. And it was denied. So she took a deep breath. She said, okay, thanks for letting me know. Goodbye. And then my philanthropy director called her like a week later. We put a proposal together. She goes, you know what, put a proposal together. Let's see what'll happen. So what happened from there? My philanthropy director walks in my office. I think I was on the phone with Jen Mamlet. Jen, wasn't I on the phone with you? Yeah, I was on the phone with you, Jen. I know that. And she walks in, she goes, I just want to let you know, I talked to that donor. She saw the paperwork and everything that we did for the state. She's going to give us $500,000 to support this program. Any applause for that? $500,000. So 2.5 times what we asked for. So now we're kicking off this anti-Semitism program. It's going to be great. We already signed Noah Tishby and Emmanuel Acho to come into our community. If you haven't seen, they have an incredible book out there. They're coming in February 27th, right before North Miami Beach does Z3. Where's Alan? You got Z3 coming up? Yes? All right, so that was door number 1. Now door number 2, as it slowly opens. We are known for the most incredible special services department. It's grown over 30 years. We have over 300 children and adults with special needs that we take care of throughout summer and throughout the year. We have a day program. We have a camp program. We have an after-school program. We have a program that connects kids that are not in our community. We have a gift shop. And most recently, we just got awarded a huge federal grant, you'll see it there, for $1.5 million to start a food truck called the Square Bowl, where we're going to pay the adults with developmental disabilities to work on the truck. It is a truck on steroids. It is Pimp My Ride truck. It is 25 feet long. It's right now at a customizer being customized. There is money out there. Then we also, just so you know, I'll go over it. We got a state grant for $600,000 to redo our special needs and senior wing. And then we have a lunch program where we feed seniors every day a free meal. So those are the 2 departments that we have at the J. Now I'm going to talk about 2 special collaborations. Anybody do sunrise in this room? Any sunrisers? Arnie, are you here? There's the sunrise. So I just want to tell you, this was a game changer for us when it came not just to the Jewish community, for the overall community to work with the Sunrise Association. I visited their camp. I spent a lot of time bugging Arnie to make sure it was the right match. Right, Arnie? I was like all over him. I wanted to make sure. I didn't want to do it unless it was exactly right for our community. Now we're at 3 hospitals providing service and care and help to the real caregivers at the hospital. We have an ambassador of fun. We have people working with families. It is a game changer for your JCC. So we're working with Joe DiMaggio Hospital, Nicholas Children's Hospital in Miami, and Broward Health. And we are in there 4 to 5 days a week working with their team to make sure these kids are getting through this time, and we're giving respite to parents. I'm going to tell you, every time I bring a donor to it, they walk out, they're different. I brought our federation in to see it. They can't stop talking about it. It is a special program. If you do it right, it is incredible. And this year will be the first year for our Sunrise Day Camp at the JCC. So I know several of you do that. We are hoping to host 30 to 50 kids on site during our camp with the other 1,000 kids that we have in camp in a separate area. This is a special program. So if you want, see Arnie and his team. It's just so special. And the last door. I know you're waiting to see what could it be from me. Yes, JCC Maccabi games and access. And I don't speak as well as Sam Cohen, but the fact is, this is the game changer for your community. If I know so many of you have done it, but for us, it was our game changer. We hosted in 2015 and 2023. We got money from the state. We got money from the county. But more importantly, we got respect in our community for doing something that big. 10,000 people at the arena where the Panthers are Stanley Cup champions. Does everybody know that? Can you believe Florida? Sorry, you guys, Florida won the Stanley Cup. Well, we were there in August before they won the Stanley Cup, and we had a rabbi bless the stadium. So I told him, that's why you guys won. But the fact is, this is the big changer. I mean, the access games. I don't know if you know, that's for teens with developmental disabilities. From a fundraising perspective, I went to 2 donors. I got $200,000 in like 5 minutes because as soon as they heard about the access games, not just JCC Maccabi, but we use this as a massive fundraiser for our center. And just so you know, and it brings in people that are going to be on your board. Our current board chair, Kevin Riggett, is in the room. And in 2015 and 23, Kev, you are schlepper, right? This guy was the operations schlepper. And now, and just so you know, he's a brilliant guy. But our team will do anything for JCC Maccabi and access. So I wanted to say that it is an important thing. And if you're getting ready to host, I know some people stepped up at this conference. That's great. If you're going to host in the future, Sam, is there any spaces left in the last 5 years? I don't know if Sam's in the room, Jen, but let her know you should be on board with JCC Maccabi. So what it does for you, it got us in touch with our local government, and we had collaborations. Our mayors of cities, our mayor of Broward County, they were very involved in this. They couldn't wait. What does a mayor, what does a politician want? They want to be invited, and they want applause, and they want recognition. And what better way to do it is in front of 10,000 people at a stadium, or as many people as you can get. So that was local government, state and federal. Just so you know, if you have an appropriation, you need to have a state representative sponsor that appropriation. These are our sponsors down below. We also work with former Congressman Ted Deutsch. Now he's with AJC. He's a big partner with us. And I want to point out Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, because she is the one that got our $1.5 million grant. So she made it happen. That was her community project. And I just wanted you to see, over the last 18 months, $3.78 million in federal, state, and county grants. Yeah, give it up for that. And just so you know, how do you make that happen? Key steps. Research. You got to know what you're asking for. You got to know what's available. Hire the right lobbyist. Anybody know what color my state is? It's a little red, right? So it used to be blue. It's a little red. So I had to find a lobbyist, even though one of my past board chairs was a lobbyist for the Democratic Party. I had to find a lobbyist for the Republican Party, and I did. And that made a difference. So find the right lobbyist. Talk to your state officials. They will sponsor these appropriations in your state. And if you get lucky, the federal thing is tougher, but you can get somebody to sponsor that if you have the right ask. And then most importantly, celebrate your officials. Make sure you're celebrating them. You have to do things where they're presenting checks, where they're getting in front of the crowd, and make them feel good about what they do, because it's a lot of work to get these dollars. So you see Debbie Wasserman Schultz in this, presenting us with the $1.5 million check to our board and to our special needs group. It was a really touching moment. Lastly, the ultimate collaboration. Collaborate with your board, your past presidents. And there's secret sauce in this, is not only your board and past presidents, but their spouses. So when we do a board, this is our board and our executive committee meeting that we meet twice a year, we always invite spouses. It makes a difference. But get them involved. And they're key board members. These are people that are involved, judges, commissioners. Our current board chair, our immediate past board chair, Scott Kleiman, was a commissioner. It makes a difference. Councilmen, there's former mayors. This makes a difference, having these key people on the board. And then lastly, what can you give back? So my give back was they asked me to be involved in the, Broward County's Housing and Finance Authority. It's affordable housing that I really believe in. Affordable housing is needed all over the country. So they asked me to get involved. I am the immediate past chair of the Housing and Finance Authority in Broward County. It makes a difference. I am meeting people that I would never meet before. And lastly, I'm the incoming chair for the Nonprofit Executive Alliance, which is 142 nonprofits in Miami-Dade and Broward County that work together. So it's important that I give back as we ask them to give to us. So see how you can get involved. And most importantly, everybody knows relationships are everything, and these people help make these key relationships and helped us get this $3.78 million. So thank you so much.
On behalf of the Chicago Cubs, I'm happy to have Van Halen's Jump. It's about the only thing I want to acknowledge was from when I was 16 or 17 years old, Rabbi. The rest of it's staying off the record. So I would love to tell you about the things that Scott said, but I think Scott said everything. I had to. You've been picking on me for so many years. I needed one shot at it. Don't worry about it. The clock's been red for about 11 minutes, just for the record, just so we're clear. Oh, no, they turned your mic off. There was a reason. Listen, it's a debate, and your mic is off. There's no question. And I just fought off every inappropriate joke that came in my head. You're welcome, Jen. You're welcome. Don't worry about it. What Scott really said, which I think is such a core, is that he was moving into this culture of philanthropy, that philanthropy is a partnership between us and the people that we want to invest in us. We're not looking for gifts anymore, right? Can I please have some money from you? That gift gets a thank you note, and then maybe we remember to wear it when we're with that family member who gave it to us. No, we want an investment. We want people that are willing to join us and partner with us, and the only way that works is if we know what they want, which is what Scott was telling us, this list of, you don't get to just ask, you actually need the photo op that works for them, the name that works for them, the sharing of what they need. And when we stop thinking that philanthropy is us walking in to ask people for money, but instead be like what Scott is laying out here, we should be walking in a room and thinking to ourselves, I'm going to give this person a chance to do something that makes them feel awesome about themselves. Then that's a partnership. We care about how they feel. They want to invest in us. You want to invest in us. The board members and the CEOs, the chairs, the staff that are here, that investment is not just money. Although it appears to be only money in Davie, Florida, but it also is time and effort and thought leadership and sharing the ideas, and that is what really makes the core of a partnership. Big round of applause for our JTalks speakers so far. If you want to talk about getting to feel blessed, when you find out that you also get to introduce Sandy Cardin, you get a chance to feel blessed. I had a chance to say to him, I have thought about something Sandy has said. I don't even remember when we were there. That is not to say about the time I had there. I don't remember how long it's been. We were in Miami, Florida at an executive conference. I think it was when the bomb threats were happening. So Jesse Rosen will know exactly what day it is. But we listened as Sandy said to each one of us, you are the Kohanim. You are the high priests. You are the leaders. And I needed that day. I needed somebody to tell me that they were going to partner with me. And when I say partner, you need to know that Sandy spent more than 20 years at the Schusterman Foundation in Oklahoma. He has been an inspiration in funding collaboration and ideas. Stop duplicating services and invest in doing things that are going to matter. Take the risk, but then keep building on it. And then our JCC leadership was blessed to hear him speak with us, but then he joined our board. Then he kept answering Hineni. I'm going to stay on the board, I'm going to lead this group, and he has taken on the ultimate task of helping to work with our board of directors in creating a new paradigm of what partnership is between the JCC Association and our JCCs and our JCC camps. We welcome Sandy up to share this vision with us. Inspire us as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. for that really gracious introduction. I really appreciate your kind words, and I really am honored to be here. Needless to say, following my friend Rabbi Cosgrove and our other presenters is an incredibly tough task. Let's give Mark and Lily, Scott, and Rabbi Cosgrove another round of applause for their inspirational and motivational messages. Thank you. You know, as I was talking to Mark and Scott right before this event, I was saying, well, I have this whole speech that's prepared, but it's within guardrails because there's something very specific I have to deliver to this. And they said, you know what, when you get up there, they're not going to stop you. You have the microphone. You can say whatever you want. So I'm tempted to throw everything away, but I won't. I'll just try and add a little bit here and there. But I do want to take a moment of personal privilege to do something that I don't think I'll have another chance to do, and I want to do it now. As Mark mentioned, I spent a long time at the Schusterman Family Foundation, and subsequent to that, I've worked with a lot of leaders, a lot of people who run nonprofit organizations and for-profit organizations, people who have had to take the helm during difficult times, work through difficult times, good times, whatever it may be. And I have to tell you that over the course of the past, let's say, 6 months or so, I have never been more impressed with the leadership skills of anyone other than Jen Mamlet. And Jen, I'd like you to stand up, because what you've done for our movement has been incredible. We would not be here today without Jen. So until a few years ago, I knew less about the JCC movement than many of you in the audience today. My appreciation for the depth and breadth of our movement, not to mention its influence on North American Jewish life, was limited. All I really understood was the role my local JCCs played in my hometowns of Baltimore, and I know we're here, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I didn't really appreciate their membership in a constellation of organizations that I later came to realize is pivotal for millions of Jews every year. I had no idea that the JCC movement is the largest employer in the Jewish community, that we are the largest early childhood education provider in the Jewish community, and that we host more campers every year than anyone in the Jewish community. And we do all that while providing recreational activities for all ages, meeting the needs of our seniors in Davie, Florida, and elsewhere, and treating everyone who enters into our facilities with dignity and respect, especially people with special needs. In many respects, the JCC movement is the best-kept secret in the Jewish world. So once I became aware of the power and potential of the movement, I started telling everyone who would listen about the important role the JCCs play in Jewish life and why we need to do everything we can to support them. It is also why I agreed to join the board of the JCC Association, and shortly thereafter, as Mark said, accept the role of chair of the Stakeholder Initiative Task Force, which was once called the Paradigm Task Force, but I didn't know how to spell it, so they changed the name for me. And it is also why I'm here today, asking for your help, your insights, and your input on how to strengthen the relationship between the association and all 170 plus JCCs and JCC camps located across North America. For more than a year, the Stakeholder Initiative Task Force has been working very hard to develop a new framework for the partnership between the JCCs and the association, one that strengthens every single JCC, secures the future of the association, and catapults our movement to the forefront of the North American Jewish community. We are calling our proposed framework a partnership model because the core value underlying every aspect of it is strengthening the partnership between the JCCs, JCC camps, and the association. We just heard 4 amazing speakers explain why that is so important. And that is why, from the very start, our North Star has been to offer you, our partners, our stakeholders, and our most steadfast supporters, a model for your consideration and input. A great partnership isn't a goal for our movement. It is a necessity for our success. Early on, our group discovered that our local JCC leadership is less familiar with the process than we would like, and for other reasons, that and other reasons, we want to start engaging you in the conversation about our partnership right now. As Lily suggested just a few minutes ago, let's work together to decide what success looks like. And as Scott said, let's collaborate. Our findings and recommendations are a result of countless hours of conversation and deliberation with hundreds of JCC professionals and association lay leaders, too many committee meetings to remember, and the extraordinary assistance of our consultants, as well as the support of the JCC Association Board. After all that, we are finally ready to present them to you for your consideration and comment. As Rabbi Cosgrove said, this is indeed a Shechechianu moment. Rabbi Cosgrove also mentioned Vince Lombardi, so I want to mention a quick quote from John Wooden. Activity is an achievement. Just because we've worked really hard and we're very proud of what we're presenting to you at this conference, we still have a long way to achieve our goal. And the importance of our work cannot be understated. Jews in Israel, in North America, and elsewhere are facing unprecedented challenges, internally and externally, and our togetherness, as Lisie said earlier, has never been more important. Community is not some abstract idea for us. It is literally our middle name. It is our very essence, and it is vital that we forge a mutually beneficial partnership with the resources and alignment needed to meet our shared and respective responsibilities. That is why we are deeply committed to getting this right, which makes your feedback so vital. Following JSummit, we will incorporate your input and finalize our partnership model, which we hope will meet the immediate needs of the movement as well as establish a firm foundation on which we can build and adapt for years to come. You know, as we about to get into a bit of the tachlis, it reminds me of the joke of the two Jews sitting on the bench and the third person walking by, and the two Jews are talking, and the third person looks and says, what are you two arguing about? And the one Jew looks and says, we're not arguing, we're discussing. So he says, well, what are you discussing? And the Jew says, we're discussing whether we should start arguing. That seems like an appropriate lead-in to our conversation about our partnership model. A great deal has changed since our organization was formed in 1917, so one of the primary charges of our task force was to reimagine, redefine, and reframe the value that the JCC Association brings to the movement. To that end, we have articulated our value proposition in terms of what we are calling the 4 Ps, which are up on the screens behind me: partnership, people, program, and promotion. Each represents areas of expertise, interest, and assistance many in the field told us that they wanted from the association, and which we believe the association is well positioned to provide. Partnership is our first P, and it has 2 facets. First, it involves strengthening the internal connections and collaborations between and among the JCCs, our camps, other key stakeholders in our network. And second, it is serving as a link between our movement and the larger and broader communities. Our next P is people. Nothing matters if we do not continue to recruit, hire, train, retain, and support the best people possible to lead our centers and run our programs. One of the best parts of the past year was discovering for myself just how many outstanding leaders are already in our system, an incredible base on which I know we can go from strength to strength. Our third P is program. Our goal is to help enhance JCC operations at the local level through access to expertise, additional resources, and cost-saving opportunities. We want to help JCCs everywhere become centers of excellence in everything they do. Our final P is promotion. As I mentioned, the JCC movement remains the best-kept secret among Jewish organizational life in North America. Few appreciate the fullness of our reach, the extent of our programming, the talent of our professionals, the commitment of our lay leaders, and the significance of our contribution to North American Jewish life. Shame on us for having failed to make every person concerned about the future of our beloved community aware of our size, scope, relevance, and importance. We need everyone to understand what I learned only a few years ago. The JCC movement is the largest platform for Jewish engagement in North America. Not only do we serve more Jews, more Jewish families, and more Jewish allies than any other Jewish organization, we are also the place where Jews connect with our broader communities more often and in greater numbers than anywhere else. Starting right here at JSummit, it is time we shed our humility and make sure everyone knows just how great we are. Does that sound good to you? Can I get an amen? All right. One of the keys to accomplishing that goal and bringing value to the movement through the 4 Ps will be our ability to make sure everyone in the movement, all of us, are on the same page as we pursue our individual and collective responsibilities. Achieving alignment is critical to our success. To that end, we see the role of the association as listening and leading, keeping all of our stakeholders, including donors and lay leaders, along with our professionals, fully informed and involved. We are also committed to building better feedback loops across the movement so that frequency and content of our interactions and communications are greatly improved. Now, of course, none of what we envision for the JCC Association or the movement will be possible without the necessary resources, human and financial. That is why one of our 4 Ps is people, and also why we have developed a proposed 3-tier dues model to support the movement, building work of the association. This model will enable all JCCs to participate with the association at a level that works best for them. We look forward to your feedback on this model the next few days. We won't be sharing details of it here. We will be providing those details in a number of workshops, which I will talk about in a second. And we also want to assure you that the proposed dues model is only one piece of our overall financial plan. Our talented team works hard every day to generate greater levels of income and support from the widest possible range of sources for the field and for our own operations. Now, I realize I've shared a lot of information in just a few minutes, and I imagine many of you, if not all of you, have lots of comments and questions, all of which we want to hear when we present the details of the partnership model in the workshops I just mentioned. They will be starting this afternoon. We are counting on your participation and your attendance at the workshops. That's why we're doing each one 5 times, because as I cannot repeat enough, your feedback is critical to this process and to its success. Now, we have scheduled multiple opportunities for you to go to these 2 workshops run by our incomparable consultants, Jeff Cohen. Jeff, are you here? Jeff Cohen and Brian Hayden over here. Thank you. They have been phenomenal. When I talked earlier about Jen's leadership as being exemplary, I just want to tell everyone in this room, I don't particularly care for consultants, but these 2 have changed my view on the consulting profession. They have been extraordinarily professional. They have been so dedicated, so committed. We cannot help but thank Brian, Jeff, and Carol so much for your work on this. And please join me in thanking them. They went above and beyond. So Jeff is going to focus on creating process and alignment, the partnership side of our proposal, a lot of what we've discussed today. Brian will be focusing on our value proposition and revenue model for all of you who want to take a look at the numbers and what we're proposing. For those of you most interested in learning, please, I urge you to attend one of each of the workshops. That's how you will get a full understanding of all the hard work that we've done and the proposal that we are presenting. Several years ago, as Mark said, I had the honor of presenting the Morton L. Mandel Thought Leadership Series talk to the association board. At that time, long before my direct involvement with the association, I said what I still believe today. The leaders of the JCC movement are the Kohanim of the 21st century. You are the pillars of our community and have taken upon yourselves the responsibility of instilling a sense of connection, unity, and ahavat Yisrael, a love of Israel, among all of those with whom you engage. By virtue of your decision to be part of this movement, you are also an ambassador of our people to the wider world, another critical role in these most difficult of days and rising anti-Semitism. To everyone here today, Toda Rabbah and Kol HaKavod for your commitment to our people and our movement. All of us at the JCC Association look forward to working in close partnership with you to review our proposal and help us propel the JCC movement to the forefront of North American Jewish life. Have a great conference, and I look forward to seeing you in the workshops.
Crush that. I believe what I just heard was that Sandy asked for thoughts and feedback on the 4P model. Next session's at 3:30. I have 18 doors I would like to open for you now. Wow, you guys are really tired. Everybody kind of missed that one, which means that Randy's choice for me to move on quickly would be the right choice right now. I've heard a great statement been made. Engagement leads to commitment. Sometimes engagement is hard. Sometimes it's 5 sessions of 2 different people speaking to ensure that there is engagement to reach commitment. When you decide you want to be the chair of JSummit and it takes 6 years, there's engagement that leads to commitment. But I would like to be the first person to say Kol HaKavod to our JCC Association staff and board and leadership. If we're talking about partnership is hand to hand, if we're talking about partnership as an investment in both sides, in the value proposition of each individual community as well as the association on behalf of Ahavat Yisrael, that draft is built on that principle. And we didn't know that because you hid it from us. It was the best kept secret of the session. So I just want to say this all ties together. That is the joy of JTalks usually, is that sooner or later we'll find that thread that ties it together. We can't do it alone. We can't do it by ourselves. We can only do it if we're willing to cede space a little bit, to recognize that we have to step up as the Kohanim, but sometimes what we have to do is move out of the way and recognize that next come the Levites and next come the Israelites. We have to know that. It is a kadosh. It is a holy partnership. And we have to approach this with abundance. We have been living in a scarcity mindset in partnership and as a field for a little too long. It's time for us to move to abundance, a partnership of abundance of what's possible. And so I want to welcome up for our closing my dear friend Lisie Gottdenker, who is really hard to say no to. And so for 6 years, I've been saying hineni each time she calls. We're so proud of what you've built. Thank you.
I promise you're going to be walking out of here pretty soon. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Rabbi Cosgrove, for inspiring and really moving us in your opening remarks. And oh my goodness, thank you, Mark Shapiro, and to our JTalk presenters, Lily Rabinoff-Goldman and Scott Ehrlich. Thank you. They shared so generously about what they do. And with leaders like these, the future of our movement shines very brightly. I am feeling inspired from the leaders we have learned from today and talking about how we as leaders, through our own passion and in partnership, can shape the movement so we can impact North American Jewish life in the most meaningful way. We so appreciate hearing your perspectives and how they tie into the power of partnership. You've given us so much to think about and discuss with others over the next few days and beyond. We have built a packed conference of incredible content and an intentional schedule to get you from point A to point B. There's a lot to choose from. We hope you'll take advantage of this rich and immersive few days and help us throughout the week by arriving on time and being fully present in each experience. Don't forget that everything you need is in the JSummit guide, and there are JCC Association staff here to support your experience. We'll be back in this room later this evening for our movement-wide Shabbat-style dinner in partnership with One Table. Doors will open at 6:30, and as you enter the ballroom, you'll be treated to an exceptional musical performance, I promise. The dinner program will begin at 6:45 p.m. Thank you to all of those who volunteered to be table hosts. You were assigned to be at certain tables. For everyone else, it is open seating. You may sit with members of your delegation or grab a new friend and invite them to sit with you. Tomorrow starts bright and early for our visit to the Lake County JCC. Breakfast will be available in the foyer just outside this room beginning at 7 a.m. And we'll board the buses at 7:45 by the glass doors outside the ballroom behind you, so we can be on the road by 8 a.m. Dress is camp casual, which I know all of the people in this room know what that is, including comfortable shoes. Also, tomorrow night is a free evening. While many of our JCC delegations are in the double digits, there are also many that are delegations of one. This week, we are all part of one JCC family. Look after each other, invite friends to join you who can be looking for an opportunity to make new connections tomorrow night. J-Town Square will be open now until 6:30 p.m. at the Regency level, and our first workshops begin at 3:30 with options both on the Regency and the Concourse level. Enjoy refreshments, chat with colleagues, and say hello to many of our partners, and have fun. Thank you, and welcome to JSummit.